So I just got out of a meeting with someone, and it was really interesting. They've been in the same industry for about 18 years, but he's just in the last couple of years transitioned from this concept of being his own boss, self-employed mentality, to actually building a big business up. And he's gone from being his, like I say, his own boss, where he's setting his own schedule and doing his own thing, to now he's got, I think he said 18 employees or so, and multiple locations in the business, and all this has happened just recently. Super impressed by him. He's doing a great job, but it really brought to mind several things that I've experienced and other people I know have experienced as they've been making that transition. And I wanted to touch on a few of those today. So one of the big ones is this idea of when you're self-employed, there's certain benefits. And the benefits are you get to call your own shots, you have your own schedule, nobody owns your time but you get to work as much or as little as you want, your income is tied directly to how much work you're doing. But then there's some downsides as well. It's if you're not working, you're probably not making money. And so very much relies on you as an individual. Whereas if you move from that self-employed kind of a business model to an actual business, then you're building a machine. And as long as that machine is running, then everything's going to go well. Now, there's so many different aspects to the machine of business, but here's a few key ones. One is, do you have enough new customers coming in? And then for the new customers coming in, are you providing the goods and services in a way that they're wanting? So timely, the right quality, the right communication. And then after they're done receiving the product or service they're offering that you do, are you bringing them back in to the start and making them a customer again? And then in order to keep the business healthy, it all runs on money. So you have to have enough money for payroll, you have to have enough money for all these different expenses. But then there's this whole nother level of once you're building a business that is this factory, it's so critical that you have people designated for their specific work that they're going to be doing. It usually doesn't turn out very well if you have the same person that's doing all of the operations, jumping in and doing the finance, and then having them run and go out and doing the advertising. I think it's better to silo that out and have different jobs for different people. One of the big issues, though, that can make or break a business is knowing who this business is. And I was just having this conversation, and they have a great team, but maybe there's some people on there that don't quite understand the culture that they're trying to build within the company. And because these people don't understand the culture, they're coming to work and they're putting off their own culture, which is counter to what everyone else is building, and it creates friction. And that friction exhibits itself in employees are going to be less satisfied going to work. You're going to have lower quality of work because of that lower satisfaction, and the customers are going to feel that tension often as well. And it just creates so many problems that can be solved if a business takes the time to understand who they are as an organization and then make sure that all the employees are on board with that culture. I used to think that culture was kind of fluff, but I've now realized, the more I've observed businesses I've been involved in and the businesses friends, and then just seeing business in general, the stronger the culture is for a company, the higher the probability is that they'll be able to weather the storms and adapt to whatever they need to do in order to be successful. That culture and that mindset of having a strong culture typically make the people working in the company feel safe enough that they're going to put in that extra effort to help themselves and the business succeed. Oftentimes when someone's making that transition from the self-employed to the business owner, the culture doesn't always get clearly defined. And it makes perfect sense that it doesn't happen because these business owners, the culture was them. And for them to have to describe what this business personality is, it feels a little unnatural if someone hasn't really thought about it. When you're building the company culture, one way of looking at it is you're going to take and you're going to say, just for a moment, this company is not a company, but it's a person. Now, if the company is this person, how would we describe them? What are their characteristics? What are their traits? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What kind of words do they use? So defining culture can be really, really critical, because if you're hiring people and those people are super aggressive and they really go after the work, but then they're also people that maybe just say it the way they see it, and the rest of your culture of your company is one of more of quiet, reserved, that person's not going to fit the culture very well. They won't enjoy working at the company very much, typically, and the customers that are coming in expecting a quiet, reserved experience are going to have a bit of a jarring experience when they work with that very aggressive employee. So it's not that the aggressive employee is bad. It's not that the other employees are better. It's that we've, as a business owner, have to establish the kind of personality that we want to represent in the company, and then we need to hire for that personality so that we find those best people that really fit that representation of what you're trying to build as a business. When you go in to build that personality, it also helps to be able to understand who your ideal customer is and the kind of experience they want. That maybe, for example, if you're running a counseling office, and this counseling office works with teenagers, they might want somebody that's a little more trendy, and they might want somebody that has a little bit more understanding of their lingo than perhaps people who are a little more reserved and aged out of that mindset. But if you're working with people who have are business professionals, and you're counseling business professionals, you're going to need people that understand the business owner's mindset and expectation and goals. So not that any one is better than the other, just as you look to serve different people, building that culture within the company becomes super important to ensure that you're providing the best service possible to those customers.